So I was looking at the hackathon that you guys threw,
Yep.
and something that I've been paying more attention to, and we want to interview more is the bots that are driving social change. So I think you guys had Refuge Job, right? And K
Yep.
and yeah, like you see bots like that, like Wobot, Go Vobot,
Yep.
that work with refugees and whatnot. for the young students who are listening, what kind of advice do you have? Like, what kind of problems that they should they look into solving, and what kind of mentality should they have?
I mean, at the end of the day, like like all this stuff is technology and they're just tools, right? So solving real problems is really where you should be focusing. And it's, it was the same. I've been working in around, this industry for like 20 some years. Solve a problem that means something. Um, and, and figure out like the tools may present new opportunities to solve old problems better. But at the end of the day, if you're not solving a problem, if you're not kind of if you're not solving a problem, it doesn't really matter, right?
So can you give us some examples of problems that are worth solving and maybe problems that aren't? Because there's a lot of hype over like creating like the next Christian Grey bot, right? So
I don't know. Like that was it engaged with a lot of users, and um, you know, it entertained a lot of people for a while. I think that is also a problem, right? That is that people are lonely, right? Like I think bots are a fantastic, very interesting medium to address human loneliness. Like therapy bots, I think are really interesting, where there are a lot of lonely people out there, and that just need someone to talk to.
Mhm.
So this is a great medium to kind of see there, and not everyone can afford to go to a therapist all the time, but maybe a bot would be a great way to provide that kind of service in a scalable, cost-effective way, right? And help millions of people without having to like incur all this cost by going to a therapist all the time. Those types of problems I think are really interesting, and the fact that you're able to reach, like with Facebook Messenger, there's like 1.5 billion people on that platform. You can build simple solutions for a lot of people, which I think is also pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So what kind of surprising things have you found out about bots? I think Chad, can you come over here and rephrase that question? Chad over here had
Yeah.
a question he wanted to ask.
There's a mystery person in the corner.
Yeah, this is Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Yeah, I was just curious because I'm sure you guys have already seen a lot of data, just evaluating things on your platform.
Yeah.
Like really, I guess maybe surprising things that you guys have seen through the data that maybe initially was just not even something you guys were thinking about.
There are a few kind of global learnings, and we actually publish these quite often on our blog. So you should definitely go check that out. One thing is kind of like a usability thing that we saw from web and mobile days, which is, when you're affording your user the ability to do things, they'll do them. And what that means is this: it's like if you're asking your user for a location, if you don't handle like them sending you a location pin, like that's like a huge miss, right? In Facebook, if you're asking a question and you don't handle the thumbs up response as a yes, like that's a huge miss. So these usability kind of lessons that we're seeing people learn over and over again, as they kind of dig into like, oh, that's weird. Like my top unhandled response was a thumbs up. Like I should probably handle thumbs up, and also know that Facebook has like, there's actually several different, if you hold down the thumbs up button in Messenger, it changes sizes. So handle all of the different sizes of the thumbs up. Things like that. Those are the usability things. In terms of surprising things, like it actually goes back to the affordance of the platform. You're able to send messages. So you should handle text, even though you give a user a button, they might not answer with the button. Users will send you images, and depending on how you want the bot to handle it, like you can have a personality. Say like look at. So if you send the cat an image, like let's see where's my cat bot. I lost it. Here we go. If we send an image, let's send the GIF. We've written our bot to say like snap my picture, take my picture, right? So it notices that you sent it an image and does something with it, because the personality we want for the bot is to be kind of something that's surprisingly responsive, right? And that's another thing I think that is a really interesting opportunity as we explore conversational interfaces, which is what do you want your personality of your bot to be?
Right.
And a lot of companies have written kind of down like, here's what the personality of your bot. Here's a backstory for my bot, right? Like, what are the types of once you start developing a personality and understanding for what you want your bot to be, it will help guide kind of what these answers and what it should be, what should be appropriate when people send it things that aren't expected.
It has a pretty awesome effect too, because if as you see these trends and you find the common queries that the users putting passing through the bot.
Yeah.
It almost, as you learn what you need to handle, it almost gives an illusion that the bot can handle almost anything, right?
Right.
The illusion that there's unlimited barrier, but you are really handling the most common queries that the users are having, and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one thing to note though is like in the same way that like if you go up to your Starbucks barista and start asking about the weather, like they might answer you, but they'll kind of look at you in a weird way, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you continue, you're like, how's the weather? It's like, oh, it looks nice outside. They'll do pleasantries, but then if you just start, having an actual conversation with them right there, like we humans and culturally will give signals as far as like, hey, like I'm busy, I can't talk right now, that kind of thing. So it's like we have that opportunity to handle with bot interfaces as well, even though they might not be limited by time, right? So even though you can say anything to a bot, it should gracefully handle and kind of guide you back towards what it is you're trying to do. Like if you asked me if I was working the coffee desk at Starbucks, I'd be like, yeah, the weather's great. Like, can I help you with something? Like, do you want a drink? Or I wouldn't just sit there and chat unless I really was kind of not busy, right? So, and a good example is, I think Poncho, the weather cat, like it's a weather bot, and you can actually there's all these kind of mini games built into it. Where you can chat with it and go off on tangents, and that's the personality that they've chosen for that bot, which is awesome. But at the same time, you can imagine if you didn't want to handle that, then you can kind of guide people back towards what it is you're trying to do. Like you're trying to sell things, you're trying to help them do something. And I think that's it's neat to see different bots evolve their interfaces to handle these types of non sequiturs.
I think, and that's a really interesting point, because I know you guys had released some retention statistics at the last summit. I think, was that the one in Canada where you guys released those retention statistics across, Facebook and WhatsApp, or excuse me, not WhatsApp. I think it was the other sort of messaging platform.
Yep.
Getting a lot of traction right now. So I guess, are you guys seeing sort of a significant correlation right now with sort of the, I guess, UX practices and maybe best practices for UX finally getting sort of more simplified, and that sort of driving higher retention rates? Is that becoming sort of more significant as things progress?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little early. We definitely release kind of industry level reports like that would address that kind of thing. We're early, right? Like Facebook just launched this platform last in 2017, right? But the neat thing is it's progressing at a much higher rate than web and mobile did, right? So in the same way that mobile kind of took half the amount of time that it took web to get to where it was, I feel like conversation should take about half the time that mobile took, so it's moving really quickly. And as we get more and more of these learnings, we'll definitely be sharing them out to the industry, because we want, we think it's important to help the ecosystem grow more quickly and learn.
That's awesome.
Perfect segue question.
Yeah.
Dennis, what's your 1 year prediction and your 5 year prediction
for the space?
Yes.
I mean, I think, a year from now, we'll definitely see, we'll have our little Angry Birds moment by then, right? Where you'll have a breakout messenger experience. You'll have a breakout Alexa skill and breakout kind of, breakout Google, breakout voice experience and a breakout messenger chat experience where, right now, I think that's still a relatively small percentage of people that have ever tried chatting with a bot or even realize that they chatted with a bot. And then in 5 years, I think by then it'll be kind of more, it'll almost be expected that like a lot of interactions with companies will be handled with an automated flow. I forget which movie it was, but it kind of made a funny joke at this, which was, someone called into a company and they said, hi, like, thanks for reaching this company. Press 1 for a human response. Otherwise it'll continue. Right. So, and it would like the default way was just to talk to an automated response because it was more efficient. And I think by 5 years, most things will be handled in a way such that you don't need to talk to a human unless you really had some kind of crazy custom thing that you wanted to.
And just to highlight again, it's funny you mentioned Angry Birds. I think that's a perfect example because I remember I was reading, something in particular about Angry Birds is that what really made it stand out is that it's the first time that we saw the mobile medium being used to its full potential, right?
Yeah.
Typing and everything, because beforehand people were trying to really emulate desktop games and Google and such, and it just really wasn't working out.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And I think, especially with a tool such as Dashpot, we're still trying to figure out, what is, how do we leverage the conversational interface, and especially, the medium of chatbots, to engage with their users the same way that Angry Birds found out how to, leverage the mobile, the mobile device to its full potential, right?
That's exactly right.
Right. Systems such as Dashpot can really help guide those design patterns and that exploration so that, one day, possibly somebody using an analytics tool such as Dashpot can discover their Angry Birds moment and can discover their best medium of engagement and how to leverage this platform to its full potential. I think
totally. And that's what's so exciting about kind of, being a part of Dashpot, being part of this whole conversational evolution that's happening is that we get to sit here and help everyone do this and figure this out.
Exactly.
And which industries have you seen bots, obviously like being super prevalent in? I think like e-commerce and lead gen, that kind of stuff. And which use cases have you not seen yet, but would be interesting to see?
I mean, honestly, we've seen such a wide variety of different interfaces and industries. Media has jumped in. E-commerce is there, as you mentioned. Medical and banking is already here, right? Like, which are traditionally very slow-moving industries. They're already here. So it's really like really broad spectrum right now, which is kind of amazing. I can't think of any. I mean, even government is here, law is here. It's all here. And that's what I'm saying is like things move more quickly every time you do a new platform shift. So the companies that were caught flat-footed for web and mobile are kind of jumping on this excitedly, so to make sure that they don't miss out, right? Because they realized from these past 2 shifts how painful it was to get left behind. So we're kind of benefiting from that because they're much more open to kind of crazy ideas like, why don't you need to talk to a human? Talk to this crazy bot interface. And they're like, yeah, let's give it a try. And that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, because, a lot of people are starting out, I think as they start looking into bots online, they're going to find that, there's a bunch of bots everywhere. So they're like, okay, where do I start? Like, what's something that I can do that isn't already being done?
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't worry about it not being done. Just do it. Right. So, and that's kind of, the amazing things. We hold like a regular bot meetup here, and it's a mix of companies and hobbyists. There are people making bots just because they think it's cool and they have some problem that they want to solve or they want to learn the platform. Do that, and I think that it really feels like early web. Like I was pretty early web, where we were just making random things like hooking up a coffee pot to the internet. Like, why do we do that? We don't know. It wasn't for. It was to solve a problem because we didn't want to walk over to see if the coffee was ready, right? So it was solving a problem, learning the technology. It was doing cool stuff and fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. And also, an interesting thing that we see in other analytics platforms, such as Google Analytics, for example, is that it's becoming a useful skill to have and present on a resume to say, hey, I know how to use Google Analytics,
Sure.
really leverage everything that it has to offer and such. Is there, do you, I guess, do you have any plans on spanning out into, the enterprise space and this becoming, a tool that, is really useful for, an individual to learn and really understand to its full potential, that they could possibly go one day and put in their resume, hey.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would love at some point for someone to be proud to put like Dashpot Analytics certified or something on their resume. Like we are, our focus, especially on, our business side, is enterprise customers. So addressing the problems that they have and giving them the reports and information and data they need to be successful is our goal, right? So, and if it means that someone is proud to put that they're really an expert at Dashpot, great, that's awesome. I think honestly, analytical thinking can be applied to any application. So whether it's GA or Mixpanel or Heap or Dashpot, I think someone that's well versed in analytical thinking should put that on their resume. But if they want to put Dashpot on their resume, I'm not going to stop them. It'd be kind of cool.
Last question. Okay, so last question.
Sure.
Let's just say that you're training the next bot making Jedi. What's the process? What's the advice that you're gonna take him through?
I mean, like again, it's find a problem to solve. Plan it out. Don't spend too much time on making it perfect. These platforms are fast, right? These tools are fast. They're really, really allow you to get product out fast and to your users so you can watch what's happening. Right? You're not going to sit and plan and predict what exactly is going to happen. So, launch it early, be a little bit embarrassed of pushing something out that you're not quite sure is going to work because you're going to see it not working and then you're going to learn to make it better. So that's kind of, do in the voice of Yoda or something like, there's no do, there's no try, right? Just do it and get it out there. Get it to users, they're out there waiting for something to play with and talk to, and then see what happens. You're really like nothing bad happens when you push something out and get people to use it.
You learn from the data.
Yep, totally. And you have no data unless people are using it. So,
exactly. Right.
Hashtag plug. Okay, great. I think that covers it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We're planning out our meetups for next year,
okay.
Like February, March, April, May. So we'd love to have you come by and maybe do a workshop on Dashpot. And
yeah, would love to.
Okay, great. I will send the schedule over.
Yeah.
Once we close in on that.
Sounds good. And if you're ever down in the Bay, let us know. We are doing a conference in April, Superbot on April 3rd, 2018. So you guys should definitely plan to come down here because it's going to be a great group of people kind of working on all this stuff.
We'd love to.
I saw the poster. It's a really rad poster.
Awesome.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, Dennis.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Take care.
All right. Bye.